What's up, Blue Jays fans? It's Robb Scott of the Jay Talking Podcast, and I'm here to give you your AAA Buffalo Bisons wrap-up. It's not a wrap-up, actually. It's just an unwrapping. It's an unpackaging of what the Bisons have down on the farm that can be helpful to the Blue Jays squad. And I unfortunately have to report that there's not a lot of stuff to be excited about. However, there is some stuff to talk about. So let's look at the starting staffs first. Buffalo runs the five-man rotation with Scott Diamond, Drew Hutchinson, Wade LeBlanc, Chris LaRue, and Roberto Hernandez. So Drew Hutchinson clearly is the top of that pile and who would likely be first up on spot starts for the Blue Jays. Now, we all know what Drew Hutchinson is and what he has been, but do we know what he can be? At just 25 years old, he has been an average major leaguer over his career, maybe even below average. You know, he's got the 30 and 21 win-loss record, but he's got a career 4.89 ERA. You know, that's not anything to get excited about. But again, that part of that's coming off an injury in between there. And he's still just 25. So the guy's just learning. He's pitching well in AAA right now. He is 0-2, but he's got a 2.78 ERA in 1.10 whip in 45 and a third innings. So that's good. 48 Ks, 34 hits allowed. Good, strong opposing batting average. So Drew Hutchinson is going to be the guy, clearly, who's going to get the first spot starts for the Blue Jays. Scott Diamond is maybe up next. He's a 29-year-old. He's pitched with Minnesota for 3 years. His best year in 2012 when he went 12-9 with a 3.7-ish ERA, 1.24, 1.25 whip, and 178 innings. So, you know, he's an option with some major league experience. He's also pitching well in AAA, but, you know, AAA is a whole different beast, so let's not get too excited about that. He's got a sub-3 ERA right now. He's 3-4. So those are the top two guys as I see on the Blue Jays depth chart of spot starts. Now, you go down the list a little bit further. There are other starters. Wade LeBlanc actually has the best numbers this year. He's 4-1 with a 1.44 whip and a 1.44 ERA and a 1.21 whip. Those are very good numbers to have in AAA. But, you know, he's a 31-year-old. You could call him a journeyman, I guess, at this point. In his major league career, he's 21-33 with a 4.47 ERA in 446 and two-third career innings. He was actually a second rounder in San Diego, and he is the left-hander on the Jays on the Bison's starting rotation. So if we need to go down and get a lefty for some reason, he's probably going to be the guy that gets the call. So he may have a couple more major league careers starts left in him for that reason, but nothing we're going to be looking for as a long-term option. Then we have the Canadian Chris LaRue, 3-3 with a 3.20 ERA this season with Buffalo. He's 32 years old. Probably won't see him at all. You know, he's got a 6.03 career major league ERA in 71 innings and a 1.70 whip. Just depth. Just to keep the rotation, just to keep spitting somebody out every fifth day in AAA. That's about all he is, as is Roberto Hernandez, 35-year-old. He's 6'4", 270, so he definitely has cholesterol issues. He may even die before the season is over. So God bless him and his family. So that's the starting rotation. When you reach into the pen, there's a few options to look at. You know, I mean, I don't think the Blue Jays have a lot to worry about in terms of the starting rotation. They're pretty solid there, barring injuries, which anybody could deal with. But, you know, outside of injuries, they're pretty set with what they have. So those starters are going to stay where they are. However, the relief corps is a different situation, and you could see some movement for sure in that area, specifically Aaron Loop, who will probably be the first guy up. He's a lefty. We all know about Aaron Loop. He's had a decent, above average major league career so far, actually. But he had a shaky year last year. He's struggling through injuries, and he's working his way back up. Last year he was 2-5 with a 4.46 ERA, but a half decent 1.28 WHIP. Very strong K to walk ratio. So we'll see if he can return to form. If he can return to form, that's a great arm to throw back into the pen, specifically being a left-hander. A lot of us lost confidence in him last year, but he's there and he's coming up, and we're going to see. Is he the guy who he was last year, or is he the guy who he was the year previous? Hopefully it's the latter. Like I say, that would be a great addition to this pen. Chad Jenkins is a guy that interests me because I don't know if he pissed off somebody in management, but he's had good career numbers in his short 100 innings of major league work. A 3.3 ERA. Mid to low 1.2 WHIP. That's nothing to sneeze at, but he's not getting any looks at all. And, I'm obviously not there seeing these guys in real time, so I don't know what their stuff is doing, how it moves, whatever. But for a guy who's done well when he's come up, it's surprising that he doesn't get another shake. But whatever, like I say. Bo Schultz, 30 years old. He's a guy that you could see elevator up and down. Arnold Leon, he made the team out of spring training. Why? I don't know. Maybe it was a lack of options. He didn't last very long, though. He was back down to AAA pretty quickly. Dustin Antolin made his major league debut this year with the Jays. He got hit around in his one game, which was an inning, maybe 2 innings. Can't remember. Doesn't matter. He's pitching decent on the farm, but 26-year-old. Again, just like the starting rotation, these guys are mostly just depth when something goes wrong in the major league level. None of them are looking at long major league careers ahead of them outside of, maybe Drew Hutchinson. So, there's Ryan Tepera, there's Bobby Korecki. Not a lot to get excited about. And, but they're probably not a lot different than, or at least not a big drop below a lot of the guys we already have pitching at the major league level. So, like I say, you could see some of these guys elevator up and down. And same with the guys that are already on the major league roster in the bullpen. All right, so let's look at the hitting side of things in AAA. This is sounding repetitive, but it's the same thing. It's mostly depth. There's some guys who are fringy, and then there's Dalton Pompey. I want to see Dalton Pompey come up as quickly as possible. He's starting to hit better now in AAA. He got past his injury. He was 1 for 26. He went into a slump, and that covered the length of his injury. So if you remove that and you can sort of blame it on the injury, he's actually been a 357 hitter over 70 at bats in AAA. He showed terrific base stealing speed, instincts in the playoffs. And late in the season, I was really impressed with the way he ran. He ran like a veteran, was fearless on the base pass. I love seeing that. I would love to see him come up. He's shown that he can hit AAA pitching. Now it's time to let him take another crack at the major league pitching. This guy's, he's got the tools. So let's give him the shot and bring him up. He's 23 years old. On the outer edge of prospect status, but could be a bright light for the Blue Jays. So, who knows how long we're waiting. I'm still looking at Michael Saunders, despite the home run last night, despite the good numbers. I'm still looking for the correction that's coming for him. There's too much data to suggest that he is not this guy. And who's going to be there to fill in? Dalton Pompey may need more seasoning in AAA. We're looking at, Jose Bautista's spot opening up. I don't see him coming back, but are you going to wait till the end of the season? You're not going to give Dalton Pompey any more ABs in the majors? I don't know why you do that. You want to get this kid seasoned. He's 23 years old. Let's go. Let's bring him up. Also on the farm, you got Andy Burns, who's a versatile guy. He can play multiple positions, decent speed, average plate discipline, nothing special, a decent bat. He's done fairly good in his minor league career, but nothing to get you excited. His versatility is probably his greatest strength, and the amount of positions he can play for the Blue Jays. But outside of that, he's not a bat that's going to be. He's not flipping his bat. Let's put it that way. Jesus Montero, he's an interesting guy because, a hype prospect. He's always hit AAA pitching, which he's doing again this year. Right now, he's hitting .299, 4 home runs, 23 ribbies. They're playing today, and I believe he hit another home run today. So he is heating up. Started hot, then went a little bit cool. Now he's heating up again. He'd be an interesting bat to come up. I'd like to see him. Can he fulfill that potential at, 26 years old? Is there anything left there? Well, I shouldn't say anything left. Is there anything there in general? He hasn't shown it at the major league level. He's a quad A hitter. I'd like to see him get some at bats. Not. I don't want to see him get a full-time job, but it would be nice to see him get 30, 40 at bats in a row to see what he can string together. See if he can get used to what he's doing, and see if there's anything there in that bat. John Birdie, middle infielder, second baseman, 26 years old, great speed, good plate discipline, but your prototypical sort of second baseman in terms of not much of a power threat. He's not hit Buffalo pitching very well yet, but that's just in a small sample size of about 150 at-bats covering a season and just a little. Well, not even a season. I mean, a piece of last season and then 20-some at-bats this year. He just got called up not long ago to AAA. So he could be interesting, but we have, outside of Ryan Goins and Darwin Barney, I don't know if I'd like to see John Birdie come up and replace either of those guys just because their defense is so good. And because I don't think John Birdie's going to be a major league hitter. Really. Maybe a 250 guy. Get on base a little bit. 350 OBP. If you could run that, for sure, I guess. But, those are his minor league numbers in that ballpark. Can he do that at the major league level? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't hold out a lot of hope. And then Dominic Brown is the last guy that I kind of wanted to hit upon. Another good young prospect at one time. Had a good season with Philly. Looked like he was really going to take off. And then crashed. For whatever reason. And not hitting much with Buffalo. Fringy guy now. And probably is not going to... Well, I mean, a starting job in the major leagues is probably... He's probably long past that. For whatever reason, whatever's happened to this guy. Maybe he couldn't adjust. But he's with the Bisons. He's not producing much. But he's there if they need to reach back and throw at the wall and see what happens. Anyway, that's your AAA Buffalo Bisons report. I'm Robb Scott from the Jay Talking Podcast. You can check out our website where we write interesting articles. You can see our podcast episodes there. That's bluejaytalking.com. I'm your host, Robb Scott. You can get at me on Twitter at bluejaysfeeder.com. And my other co-host, Tim Brennan, you can get at him at Tim Brennan 1200. That's Tim Brennan 1200. So check out YouTube, subscribe, check out our website, bluejaytalking.com. Thank you.